Welcome, everybody. I'm Noreen Savage, and this is Starting Out Bright. Thanks for being here. And in case we haven't met, I just want to tell you a little bit who I am and who I'm not. First of all, I am nobody official with Bright Line Eating, but the program has done a lot for me. And I got acquainted through a friend on Facebook. She posted that she lost 57 pounds after 1 year of doing Bright Line Eating, and if anybody was interested, they could just give her a shout. So my hot little fingers got over to Messenger as fast as they could, and my friend Lori proceeded to tell me about a book written by Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, Bright Line Eating. And in the book, Dr. Thompson talks about 4 bright lines that you don't cross: no sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, weighed in measured portions. And when I heard all that, I was sunk. To tell you the truth, I thought there was no way, absolutely no way I could do that. It almost felt like a joke, but it wasn't. Lori told me, no, there's no sugar, no flour. Long story short, we got together for lunch because I just had to get more information. And she told me about the program in depth and suggested 2 things. 1, get the book, and 2, to get into an online community called We Eat Bright with Lines. The group is still going strong. It's a Facebook group, private. And since then, I have found many other groups, including Starting Out Bright, which is associated with these Zooms. And, there are official groups, recipe groups, you name it. But I got into that first group, and I just sat and read and watched transformation after transformation. People losing weight, not just 5 or 10 pounds like I was doing every other month for 30 years, but a lot of weight, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 150 pounds. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope rise in me. Because where was I? I was 5'2", still am, and 270 pounds. As I said, I had been dieting for decades and had not found the secret formula. If dieting alone could have done it, I would have been thin many times over because I was constantly dieting. But now I had reached a point of pain. My feet were in so much stress. They were swollen for about a year. My knee was in excruciating pain. I snored every night, waking up my husband, and everything that goes with that, sleep apnea. Many times I went to bed really wondering, would I wake up in the morning? So to see this and to read this, I felt hope. And I promised myself that if I lasted 1 year, I would do what my friend Lori did. I would post on my Facebook page and help anybody I could. Well, the year came up and I had lost 56 pounds by then, 1 shy of Lori. And I'm getting ready to post. I'm sitting right back there, right in this room. I'm sitting right back there thinking, what am I going to post? And at that time, I felt God say to me, Noreen, you can do more than that. You could connect people. Here we were now in a pandemic. People were meeting on Zoom. And wouldn't it be great if you could just have some of those who inspired you and connect them with those that needed help and hope? But who would come? Who would really come? Who would tell their story? Who would give some advice or inspiration? Well, I'll tell you, I have not been more blown away than by one after another, one person after another, taking one, as they say, for the team. And I got to tell you, Jenna, my beautiful daughter, Jenna, has been with me through the beginning. And we'll talk about it a little bit tonight, but she has actually been on Starting Out Bright. This is, I think, her 3rd time. And so believing in this, believing in me to even support, I just got to sing her praises. Through this time, too, she has trained to become a coach. And so she has gone full circle. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Jenna Grooms, who is now a certified holistic health coach. Welcome, Jenna. Thanks for coming back.
Gosh, thank you. It's an honor. each time you ask me to come on, I have that moment of, what can I offer to your group? You're such a fantastic host. You have so much you're sharing. So I'm honored you've asked, and I'm looking forward to having some great conversations. And I hope that for everyone here tonight, that you can walk away with at least one nugget that just really lights you up, or, inspires you to keep going.
Oh, I'm sure we will. If it's nothing more than singing a duet.
If nothing more, you'll get a duet. Apparently, we're going to do this. It's going to we sing harmony together. We can make it happen.
We haven't practiced. We haven't
put a song in the chat. We'll see if we can make it happen by the end of the call. I maybe shouldn't have suggested that. We'll see.
So here's the funny thing. I haven't been on for a couple of weeks. Just there have been some big events going on, and so I'm back. I'm so glad to be back, and couldn't get the music to work. We do this little preview music and a slideshow. And so it reminded me exactly of the quote that you wrote this past week. If being in good health is dependent on us being perfect 100% of the time, then we are all screwed. And I thought, wow, isn't that the truth? And what appropriate words as we go into what is now the holiday season. This is a time of perfection. This is a time that we have these undue stresses. And tonight I want to talk about these stresses with you. I also talked about love languages in the group. And Jenna, I love the love languages. And I want to share that information that I have loved for a long time. But I want to start first with these 100% being perfect, the stresses. And you, in your coaching, you have now graciously been adding, a Tuesday time, tea time, I think it's called, with Tuesday tea time, right? With Jenna?
Tuesday tea with me.
Tuesday
tea with me. Yes.
Okay. Well, it really hit the last couple of weeks ago. My granddaughter, Jenna's daughter, Rose, is 5 years old. She has two beautiful daughters, Violet and Rose. And Rose was home sick. All right. And I'll let you tell the story, Jenna, because it leads up to this toolbox thing that I want you to talk about. But go ahead.
Sure. So yeah, I started this practice a couple months ago where on Tuesdays I record kind of an impromptu, 5-minute video of whatever topic comes to me that day or I was experiencing in my life. And I'm usually home by myself making these videos. My kids are usually at school. And this particular Tuesday, my 5-year-old was homesick. And it was, it had been a really long day. It had been a long week. If you've ever been home with a sick kid, it's long. And so it was like 5:00 on this Tuesday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do this video still. Like I've been committing to doing this. So Rose is sitting at the kitchen table and she's coloring. I said, hey, I got to go in my room for 5 minutes. I'll be right back out. And I record my video. And it wasn't, I had actually asked her, I said, hey, what should I was just really struggling. Like I could not get it right. And I said, hey, what should I record this on? And she said, it should be about keeping your promises. I'm like, oh, okay. Like real specific. Like she had a suggestion. And so I did, and it turned out to be very relevant because I thought about the keeping promises to ourselves and like accountability with ourselves and how that can actually be the most challenging. It's not as hard to keep promises with other people, but to ourselves, it can be. At any rate, I was discussing different tools that we all have, within us to be accountable. And Rose had overheard this, and I think she just was even taking tidbits of things we've talked about over the weeks, because after my video, she said, Mom, I want to create my own video, and I'm going to do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays. I'm like, okay. And I set the tripod up for her on my bed and my phone, and she said, okay, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. So she starts recording and I'm in the other room picking up. And then I really kind of starting to listen to her, and I'm like, she's like really hitting some pretty amazing points. And I'm really kind of giggling to myself. And it was, I think, like a 9-minute video. I mean, this was a lot. And so, yeah, I edited it down to about a minute and a half where she's just reminding us like, hey, we all have this toolkit. And as she describes it, it's right on your head. We all have this toolkit. Everybody, even in China, like everybody has this that we can pull from any time. So simple, but so true. And it was really special.
So what's our toolkit for now? Going into seriously stressors.
Yeah.
What are
So
some of those points? And if you out there have not seen this video, go into the Starting Out Bright group. I posted it today, and it'll also, there's a link so you can go to Jenna's Facebook page with more videos. But
so toolkit, yeah. So the way I think that resonates with most people is when we think about stress. And the thing with stress is that our bodies are designed to be able to deal with stress. It's a process in our bodies that is there for a reason, to actually protect us. So the goal is not actually to never have stress. And that's just not realistic. We will always have stressors put at us. However, the way our body was designed, stress was a mechanism to help us survive. If you were getting chased by a lion, you better hope that your stress mechanisms kick in to increase your cortisol, to increase these functions, to get your body moving faster and get the heck away from that lion. Like you needed that to work, to live. But fast forward to our lifetime where our bodies don't know the difference when it comes to stress between being chased by a lion or getting a stressful email at work. They are the same processes that kick in. And so the challenge we face is that if your stress mechanisms are constantly being triggered and you're in acute stress mode, like all the time, chronic stress mode all the time, you're setting yourself up for a lot of potential health challenges. And so again, the goal is not to avoid stress completely, but to have what I call a toolkit, so that when you're faced with these stressors, what can you pull out of from your toolkit that you know is going to work for you to bring your stress down, to get you out of that situation? And so some examples of these are breath techniques. There's several different breathing techniques, but breathing is an incredible tool and it's free. You have it with you everywhere you go. So there are techniques, literally, if you're driving, I have some videos on my pages, like you plug your nose a certain way and you take a deep breath in. Like breathing's an incredible tool. Meditating is one. A lot of these we've heard before. Yoga. It could even be talking with a friend. If some of these other mechanisms feel like you're not quite comfortable with that yet. Essential oils. There's stress capsules. There's a whole list of different tools, but the point is they are tools that work for you, because there are so many of them. And you could have one person singing the praises of, you have to try this. What do you mean you haven't done this? But it has to work for you. And this is what I found to be such an incredible component for me when I was really in the height of my bright line eating and when I was really releasing a lot of my weight, because when those stresses came up, where I may have been triggered to maybe go towards a certain food item in the past, I was able to pull from my toolbox and recognize what I was actually feeling, and that it had nothing to do with food. But that was just a kind of what our brains like us to think sometimes, if that's what we were doing in the past. So ultimately, yes, the toolkit that we talk about, it's something that you build over time. It's something that you start trying things, you put it in your toolkit. Does it work for you? Does it not? And you just have this reserve that's just always at your disposal. So when something flares up, you have something to turn to just like that without even having to think about it.
And I want to build on that too. Everything that you just said also leads me to think about a word called compassion. To be compassionate towards yourself. First of all, aware that you are in this moment and that I need something. Now, for me, I call it throat hunger. It has nothing to do with food. It is not a hunger for food. It is all about Has someone hurt my feelings? Have I got work that I've procrastinated on? All these different things. And I feel it right here. Now, I used food in the past, but I can see how stopping and like doing breath work, or I want to get into the love languages, because I think some of these we can think together about some ways that apply to our love languages that also work to decompress, especially during the holidays. So I'm going to start on that because it's going to take a little bit. If you've ever read the book by Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages, I'm seeing people nod. Yes. And I hope you went to the website this week and took your test. If not, go to the Starting Out Bright group, and I posted the link where you can take the quick test. But there are 5 love languages, and I want to just back up a little bit. When I read the book, this whole thought about languages, I got to tell you, I thought it brought me back to my childhood. Because for me, I think of languages and I think of myself as a small child. I'm at my mother's knee at night, myself, my several sibling sisters, and we would pray every night in front of my mom. And, you know, we had traditional prayers, the Our Father in our faith tradition and other prayers, but we also prayed for a very large family. And it always included the 2 sets of grandparents, Busha and Jaja, Mamir Paper. And if you're familiar, that meant that my grandparents were of Polish descent and of French descent. Now, why is that important? It is important, extremely important to me, because at that time in 1937, it was almost unheard of to marry out of your ethnic culture. And so my mom and dad did this crazy thing, getting together, bringing these 2 families together with a lot of not great circumstances, trying to avoid that from other people. So they got married. And what's interesting about when I say languages is, besides those few words when I would pray at night, I hardly ever heard Polish or ever heard French in the house. They spoke the common language of English. Now, I'm looking back, I'm like, oh gosh, I could have been trilingual. No, it was important to speak the same language. They understood it. In fact, I remember my mother saying that as they were married, sometimes she would go to the Polish family gatherings, weddings, and so forth, and she would feel like an outcast because relatives on the other side would be speaking in Polish. And, you know, later on, I thought, well, Mom, they probably weren't being rude or leaving you out. They just, you know, forgot about it. Well, now we'll talk about the love languages, because what you're going to learn tonight, if you haven't read the book, is just like that. Once you know someone's love language, including your own, it's up to you to practice that language. And what it can result in is so much more to a relationship. So I'll get right into it. There are 5 love languages. The first is words of affirmation. Now, just like a language of English, I can go to New Jersey, and I'm over accentuating it, but I can go to Jersey and have this dialect, or I can go to the South and have a Southern drawl, y'all. There's a difference. And that's the same thing with words of affirmation. There are different kinds of words of affirmation. You can have words of appreciation, of thank you for making dinner. Thank you for filling the tank with gas. These are words affirming, but also of thankfulness, of gratitude, and that it's noticed. There are words of encouragement that they may say, well, Jenna, you have such a knack with understanding the ins and outs of coaching. Why don't you make a business of that? Or, you know, you do such a great job in photography. Why don't you go further with that? Someone sees in you something that you might not see in yourself. and to encourage, to inspire you to move forward, to take a chance on yourself. So that's another type of word of affirmation. Compliments. Wow, you look nice in that color of red. That your eyes look so beautiful. Nice dress. Just the kind of compliments that we'd love to hear. And we kind of, if we don't hear them, we're like, huh, am I invisible? I really made an effort to dress up. Those kinds of things. So those are a few of the words of affirmation that you can learn. And another, I had to take a couple notes here. I wanted to say too, that you can have words of affirmation. And I want to say too, with language, before I go any further, we think of language a lot of times of just words, but think about the silent treatment, the opposite of saying the words that you long to hear. Think of the opposite of cutting words. See, a good compliment can last you a couple weeks, right? Especially if that's your words. But a cutting compliment or cutting words, that can last for a lifetime, especially with this love language. So be very cautious of words. And the thing I was thinking about, the other type of dialect is the written word. So not only am I saying the words, but I'm writing them to you. Now I'll give you an example. That's one of my love languages, is words of affirmation. Like I said before, I was dieting like all the time. And so much so that it was just normal. It wasn't like even I was doing anything special anymore. But I remember one time that I was really vigorously going to the gym and all this kind of stuff. I was actually writing a blog at the time. And I went to bed and I saw a Post-it note by my husband. Now, he is not a words of affirmation person. So this was an effort. And I see, good job, keep it up. And I'm like, oh, what? And then I'm like, I see another one by the laundry room and another one and another one. There were like 5 Post-it notes. You would have thought that he rolled out a whole brand new wardrobe or something. I clung to those Post-it notes. They meant so much to me. Those small words meant so much to me because I appreciate words of affirmation. So again, 2 dialects, written words and verbal words.
I just want to add to that real quick. If you are a words of affirmation person, not only are the words you're hearing from other people so impactful, but think about your own self-talk.
There we go.
So if you are constantly looking in the mirror or having these conversations with yourself about not liking how you look or saying things to yourself that just are not kind, that is so impactful because it is the same, if not even more. And so if that is your language and if that's something you struggle with, some techniques that I have personally used are writing my own notes of affirmation and taping them to my mirror. That is very impactful, or writing even a few things down, a few affirmations and saying them out loud to myself. One of them seems so simple, but I could hardly say the words. It was looking in the mirror at myself and saying, I am Jenna. I could hardly say my own name to myself and at a certain point. And so if that resonates at all with you, and if one of your love languages is words of affirmation, starting with yourself is so key.
I love that. And especially, again, all of this applies not just to others, your family and friends, but to yourself, as Jenna says. This is a way to use compassionate love to yourself. Use it in your love language. You understand it best. Okay, so the second love language is quality time. What is quality time? Quality time is time spent together, meant for each other. Okay, but you may say, how do I do that? How can I have quality time? Well, again, there are two dialects. One is quality conversation. Now, let's say it's in the BLE community. You may reach out to someone that you need quality time and quality conversation. If you reach out to others, it could be on a post. It can start by the written word, but it may develop into quality time that you're one-on-one as an accountability partner or in a mastermind group. And now you have a quality conversation going. At home, it's maybe the obvious. You want to have quality conversations. How do you do that? Well, thinking again of a gift, if you're thinking of gifts, they even have now like questions for humans. These are just questions. I try to ask my husband when we're just eating alone a question like, so what was the first time that you remember doing this? Like maybe it was skating or whatever. And it may spark just a conversation. I'm not a pro at it. And still after 47 years of marriage, these are still questions that are new. So these are the ways, one way to spark a conversation with someone close to you is ask a question from their childhood or something that you might have in common. And the quality conversations are not with the TV on or the phone in hand. This again is like to put all of the distracting devices away and to be one-on-one. Quality conversation, quality time, like, do people go out to dinner to just eat food? Or do they go out to dinner to have a quality relationship, to add to their relationship? And so that is, again, quality time. And if that is your love language, you strive to make those relationships. Do you have something to add on that, Jenna?
Yeah, I do. A couple things. One is, especially if perhaps you don't have a partner or, you are trying to think of how this best applies to, we all have a relationship with our body. We are not our bodies. We are in a relationship with our body. And so first it's understanding that, but secondarily, then it's how can I honor that relationship with my body and have that quality time supporting this body that I'm in? Is that having a walk? Is that taking a nice walk on my own? It's not a walk in a sense of I need to lose weight and it's just this quality time where you and your body have this space to connect with each other, that with each step, it's understanding, wow, I am in such an incredible vessel that is allowing me to take a step after step. And this is so incredible. And it's so easy to lose sight of the miracle that every step we take is. And so sometimes those one-on-one moments with just ourselves, whether it's a walk, whether it's sitting in a meditative place, and if that feels too scary, just even sitting in silence for just a couple minutes with yourself, that relationship with yourself is so impactful. And as part of that, boundaries that you set as well, and honoring what you need for yourself, that is honoring that quality time for yourself. So you're not over scheduling and filling up everybody else's cups with everything that they need, that you are putting yourself in the lineup for what you need as well, so that your cup is filled, and that ultimately allows you to serve others as well.
I want to add on this too, because this kind of touches between words of affirmation and quality time, the dialect of conversation. Now, if you're having a conversation with yourself, recently I started practicing a gratitude list, and I started with just 10, and I texted to myself 10 things that I was grateful for, and people, and my faith, and all the different things. But I started with 10. And in the morning, I read them. Well, I was in tears in the morning. And that night, then I added 10 more. And this went on and on. I'm adding more and more. And it never fails to actually bring me to tears by the time that I've read through, and it has actually had me pray for people as I'm reading through these moments in my life and the people in my life who I'm grateful for. And that again is a conversation I'm having with myself, a quality conversation. I never expected to do this, but I just started doing it like just a few weeks ago. And it has really turned into a quality conversation that I don't have to have with anybody else. I'm having with myself, and it starts my day on such a grateful note. So I'll just throw that out there. And now I want to go into the third love language, gifts. Now, sometimes you can hear gifts. Well, that's just so materialistic. Is it now? Think about the gifts that you've received in your life, those special mementos of your life past. If you're like me, there are some that really stand out that through your life that you were given. And beyond gifts, I think of the time spent in a gift, and I will tell you the reverse of not appreciating a gift. It's kind of embarrassing to say, but my husband gave me a gift once of it was a beautiful white sweater with gaudy gold buttons. Now, I didn't spend 5 minutes thinking I'm going to keep this sweater. Like, it's going back, okay? I can't tell you how much I regret that decision. And it's because in a flash, when I understood the love languages, gifts is not my husband's love language. It's really not mine either. And maybe that's why I was just so flippant about it. But when I realized what gifts are about, true gifts, someone goes and takes the time. And think about me at 270 or all the numbers in between, from the 130 that we got married all the way to 270 that the man's been with me through it all. And he takes the time to go in the closet probably to see what size I wear, because who knows what size I am this week, right? And goes to the store, finds somebody and says, where can I find a white sweater with gaudy gold buttons? I really got to get one. No, that's not what he said. He's looking for a beautiful gift for his wife. And he's looking through anything he can find that he thinks will really make my eyes light up. And instead, I stuck it back in the box. Now, that just like shut down all the effort that was made. Did he ever get me a sweater again? No. Maybe a gift card. Gifts, again, have been not a strong point. But would you want to after going through that? I don't think I would, because again, it's appreciation. I could have worn that sweater, but I just want to give you that idea to not take gifts lightly, no matter who they're from, and that they took time. But there are other types of gifts, and I want to bring a couple up. I'm not even sure that they're in the book that much, but I know them as gifts. And one of them is the gift of your presence. It could be that you are a director in a play. Now, your time behind the scenes, and I say this because Jenna's very involved in theater and her husband is too. You're behind the scenes for months. The gift of someone's presence is saying, this is a wrapped gift. I'm bringing myself. When my husband got gave stem cells, I stood by the bed for 8 hours. My gift was my presence standing by him. And anybody would do that probably, but I knew that my presence was the gift. There's also the gift of tradition. You can be in a household where someone loves snowmen or Santa Clauses or fairy dust or whatever. And if you want to just discard that, that is like saying, I don't want your traditions. We had from a very young age, I brought in the birthday fairy at our house. Kids were already still in the crib, and I would decorate the room at night. It's very inexpensive. I'm not talking anything fancy, a little bit of streamers, and it was the birthday fairy. Well, it's become a tradition, Jenna. You might be doing it still. I don't know. But these
Yes, we
little
do.
traditions, like whether they liked it or not, the spouses had to do that too. Right, Jenna?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's a part of all of our lives now.
So anyway, if their love language is gifts, it's not something to discard as materialistic. Please look at it as more that they appreciate the full gift. I worked with someone once. She was in her 60s, and she told me, I cannot wait for this weekend. It's gift time. And I was stunned, because that's not my love language. I would never in a million years say those words. I appreciate gifts, but I wouldn't look forward to it all week or something. But again, this person also could remember every single thing that she got from every single person. Now that is really appreciating gifts. So there again, that speaks to the love language. Do you have anything to add on that, Jenna?
Yeah, I'll be quick because I know we have to move on. But
Yeah.
just what I thought about as you were speaking was in Susan Pierce Thompson's book, her original Bright Line Eating book. One thing that she talks about towards the end of the book is that when you get to a point that you're no longer thinking about losing weight and dieting, and you're not obsessing about the food and all those things, think of all of the brain space that you now have to actually offer your gifts to the world and to others around you. And so that's something that I think is really powerful as well, to think about your own innate gifts within that you can offer to others.
Well, and that's so true. And it leads to the fourth love language, which is acts of service. And this may be true for you or not. If I need help around the house, it's usually the opposite, because my husband is the service person. He shows love by service. If I'm wanting service, but someone just brings me a rose, I'm like, okay, that's nice, but I really got this and this and this. You see what I'm saying here? The one act is wonderful. I'm not discarding that. But if your love language is service, you really want help. And you really love help. I was in Secret Santa I have 7 sisters. One passed away, but at the time there were 8 of us. And we didn't get a lot of gifts as kids. So us sisters got together later on in life, and we would exchange gifts. Well, I knew my one sister, who I drew her name. We knew each other's love language, and I knew hers was acts of service. I thought, what can I do for her? This is what I did. I got flower bulbs, and I said, I'm going to plant these for you. She had a big stretch of ground by her house, and I planted all of these bulbs, came over and planted them. And in the spring, of course, they came up. She was over the moon with that kind of gift. She was just giddy. Now, I could not have given her something in a box that would have equaled that. So again, these acts of service and all of the gifts, all of the love languages, they can translate to gifts to others and to yourself. What do you have to say for that, Jenna?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add for that. But other ideas are, I've offered my time to watch people's kids. Even as a mom, like I've done it to friends and said, hey, I know, like, I'll give you this time so you can go out. Even simple things like a car wash, or if it's a car wash gift card or something, like it's still the service, things like that. So I don't have too much more to add, but yeah, what you said.
Okay, so the 5th love language is physical touch. And so that seems just so easy to understand, right? Physical touch. Well, again, who do you have if you're by yourself? Well, you have yourself. You do have yourself. And also physical touch translates to physical gifts. I almost fell off my chair this week, and I'll tell you why. I told you my husband is not a gift person, right? His birthday is next week, and he says to me, I quote, I think we should have a couples massage for my birthday. I'm like, what? And the reason I'm shocked is not, we had a couples massage for our anniversary, a gift from our children. It was off the charts amazing. It's the first time we ever did that. It's the first massage he's ever had in his life. I've had one before. But what blew me away was with my love of love languages. It never dawned on me that he's a physical touch and an acts of service guy. Sometimes you have one and two way up there. How did it not dawn on me that he would love a massage for his birthday sometime in all these years of marriage? So think of things that are to the touch. These are great ideas for yourself too. When I lose that 5 pounds, I'm getting a pedicure. They're going to be touching my feet. I'm going to get a massage. I'm going to get the chiropractor to get the cracks out of my back, whatever it is. But you see how you can translate. And this is the thing. When it's their love language, and this goes for your family. When you have people in your life and they are love language, people of physical touch, go hug them. They really want that. A pat on the back goes much further. Now, not everybody is that. I'm a huggy person, but I've been going up for a hug sometimes. It's like, oh, no, not quite. I'm not there. And not everybody is. So the first step is really understanding who we are and who we are with, and then going from there. What say you, Jenna?
Just to add that some other physical touch items are weighted blankets. So especially if you are solo, weighted blankets are great. We actually just bought one for our 8-year-old, and I can't even tell you how much of a difference it has made with her in the evening to calm down. And also a massage gun. You can buy them online. There are so many different kinds. You don't have to spend $200-$300 on one. But it's great. Like, you can just sit there and work your muscles out, give yourself a little love that way. So those are just some, or even just, giving yourself that moment to get cozy in a robe, in a blanket, and with, something warm. And that's physical touch too. It might not be in the ways we think, but it's, especially if you, are on your own, those can be really soothing ways to get that physical touch in as well.
Well, that is so great. And again, I just want to bring back, the story about my mom and dad. When you actually understand, you have a common language. When you understand someone else's language, we each have a love language. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 that are pretty close up there. When we choose to use those languages, when we choose to speak them to others, there's really power in it. It's like I said, I almost fell off my chair and I'm thinking, what a simple pleasure that we could really look forward to, maybe quarterly, in a year. I mean, how worth would that be versus buying a shirt that he may or may not wear? Seriously, it's like, think about that for yourself too. And as we're cozying up to the blanket and, doing something special for ourselves, it made me think of how many times we get into trouble, stress after dinner. Some of this stuff is really easy to translate to after dinner, cozying up and getting some tea, which I gotta ask Jenna, since she's the tea time person. What do you suggest? I actually got some today. I've got stashed licorice. That's one of my favorites. I've got Bengal spice. That's a favorite. But Jenna, your Tuesday tea time.
Yeah. So Patricia, you had asked what my favorite teas are that bring me joy. So I actually recently had the pleasure of going to a free workshop at our library over the summer, and it was a tea workshop. And I was like, yes, like I'm doing it. And so I learned there are actually tea sommeliers, just like wine sommeliers. So the person giving us our presentation, she's a tea sommelier, and there's actually now a tea cafe in Rockford, Michigan, which is close to Grand Rapids, that it's not a coffee shop, it's a tea shop.
Wow.
And so she introduced me to this brand. It's called Fraser Tea. Let's see if you can see it, Fraser Tea. And they are in Michigan, but all the teas are sourced from around the world. And there are a few things that I really learned, and you may, if you're a tea drinker, you may already realize this, but what I never really took into account is how important it is to have the right temperature when you're brewing tea, because different types of teas need different temperatures. And so if you've in the past tried tea and you're like, this is really bitter, or I'm just not like a tea person, it's possible that it was not being steeped at the correct temperature, or that it was being steeped for too long. So something I really like about Fraser Tea is they have right on here the temperature you should steep it in, and then the amount of time. And it has made a huge difference. And their tea bags, they also have loose leaf tea as well, but they're really large, pieces of the leaves. And they've got an awesome blend. My favorites, I'm a green tea go-to pretty much. And then I'll do herbal tea at night. Like peppermint tea is like my favorite at night, especially if I'm having any digestive discomfort. Peppermint is the way to go. But I've been recently kind of dabbling into some different types. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I think it's called it's Puerh. Pura. It's a type of tea.
Okay.
I think it's in between, like close to a black tea. I'm not 100% sure. But this particular blend from Fraser Tea, it's called Polka Dot Bikini, which is super fun anyway. It kind of makes me feel like tropical a little bit, but I really felt a difference in being able to like focus and get my work done, and felt a little boost of energy. Like it was really great. And I didn't, there were no jitters, nothing like that. So Fraser Tea has been my new favorite, like self spoil. And then I love Trader Joe's, the few teas I can get, yogi teas. I'm a creature of habit, so I don't stray too far, but when I do find a new one to try, then I will. And the last one I'll tell you about is I had some friends gift me with this subscription. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
When I used to live in Chicago, there's a hotel, the Drake, and they would do tea time, and it was with this French tea. I do not speak French, so I'm going to totally botch this, like Palais de Thés. I don't know, but that's the brand, and they're pretty like exotic and luxurious. So if you know a tea lover and they're a gift person, you could get them a little, gift box of something like a really high-end tea. Like that's how I got this. So
is that leaf tea then?
It's loose leaf tea. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you would have to do a little.
I haven't ordered it myself. I was just gifted, but yeah, I have little sachets, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Jenna, you have been a gift to us tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate you so much. And I want to talk a little tiny bit about the gift of being able to practice bright line eating. And for me, one thing that has helped me on my journey is being able to create muffins. Okay. So this is a gift to you tonight. I have it on the screen. I haven't published any of my recipes because I've been too afraid, to tell you the truth.
This is a major gift. I will tell you. She has gifted me many a muffin or bread loaf, and I have the recipe and have made them as well. And it's a game changer.
But it does take time, and it's because I'm a slow baker. Okay. But it is on the slideshow. So I want you to know that it's only because I've been afraid, with all the wonderful bakers out there, to put my addition in. But I will post it on the Starting Out Bright group too. But anyway, that is my gift to you. I hope that you'll try it. It is one of many. I was gifted a journal this past year by a daughter, and it's, of all places, it's called Stay Bright. I don't know where she got it. And I'm like, I've got to do something with it, because I have I have made literally thousands of muffins trying to find my own version of what I liked. And I do like quite a few spices. So you can see I started writing every single thing that I wrote, everything that I put in it. And that's only from like a month. If I would have gone back for 3 years of all the times I've practiced, it would be many more. But anyway, I hope you try it. So that is my
Also,
gift
word to
you.
the wise, if you have access to these or you can order them online, parchment muffin liners are the way to go because your muffin comes right out. You don't lose any of the muffin at all. So I think I've ordered them from Target online. But parchment, just like parchment paper, they have parchment muffin liners. So
And
if you
and
can
I
get
don't
it,
even use those anymore
I
because
know
I bought
I do.
the holy big thing from Pampered Chef with the big muffins. And so 2 of them are one meal. And I just spray a little bit with my little oil thing and no parchment or anything. But anyway, hopefully that'll be the first of many that I'll share, but I wanted to give you a preview of that. And please don't hate me. I hope that you like.
You will. Everyone will. They're great. Just
Okay.
do it.
So anyway, as we wrap up right now, again, I want to thank you, Jenna. And before I forget, because you're not going to say anything, I want to give you an opportunity to share what you told me this week. And that is you're going to have some group coaching, right?
I am. Yes, I'll be brief about it because I know we're wrapping up. But starting in January, I'm not sure the exact date yet, but I'm going to be hosting a 4-week group coaching program. So it'll be a small group, probably no more than 10 or 20 in a group. And we're really going to be focusing on the mind. So I'm labeling it preparing your mind for weight loss. But it's anyone can fit in it, but we're not talking about the nutrition piece. We're not talking about movement. We are talking about setting up your mind to really understand what is it that you want for your body? Why is it important? What do you want to experience with your body and help break through some of those limiting beliefs that you may have that might be preventing you from getting where you want to go? And it's $111 for 4 weeks. And I am offering this group. Anyone who wants to join can also get a complimentary one-on-one session with me following. But if it's something you're interested in, I don't have a sign up page or anything for it yet because this just was born last week. So we can maybe put something in the group, or you can just reach out to Noreen and we can figure it out
I'll
that
put
way.
it in the group and living consciously with Jenna. So your Facebook page is also there.
Yes.
So we promised we were going to sing a song. We haven't practiced it.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
we're gonna all do this, okay? You are my
Okay.
sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are blue, gray.
Yeah.
You never know,
No,
dear,
dear,
how much I
much
love you. Please don't
please don't
take
take
my
my
sunshine
sunshine
away.
away.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you. And I'm going to close as I do each week. Good night. Stay bright. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Okay, so Jenna, how would you like to play 3-Question Thursday?
I would be happy to.
You know what? I want to go back all the way to the beginning of your Bright Line journey because I thought that you had a novel approach. You may not remember it because it's been a while, but I do, because you started with a bright breakfast and then you added to the sequence. You first started with bright breakfasts for a while and then added. Would you recommend that if you were going backwards in time?
Honestly, I don't think it's bad if somebody wants to just try it to get a feel, but that lasted about a week. And I said, no, this isn't working, because what I was doing was I would have my breakfast and then was telling myself I can do whatever else I want in the day.
Okay.
And so it wasn't really proving to be a successful model until I was all in.
Okay. Second question. You don't see this coming at all, but I read your posts.
Oh man. Okay.
And I know that you had an episode this week with Elf on the Shelf.
Oh,
Tell me
yes.
about that.
Um, okay, how do I sum this up? So my husband and I have not done Elf on the Shelf. We have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And this is a whole other talk, but we really live by a conscious parenting model. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, you can Google conscious parenting. And it's just a very different mindset than what a lot of us grew up with. And so we tread the lines of Santa carefully. We tread all of these lines carefully. And so the thing with the elf is we just didn't want to add another component a few years ago. And we've just had been confident in our decision the past few years. And up until this year, when all of a sudden we're realizing our kids they were feeling so left out. Everybody in their class had an elf but them. And so many of these elves now bring presents like every day.
Don't
Like
do it.
the elf for many has become just as commonplace as Santa. And not every home does gifts. Like, by no means am I suggesting that, but a lot do. And so we had a night where my 5-year-old is in tears and she's saying, I'll never get to experience the magic of the elf as a child. And I mean, you can imagine as a parent, I'm just like, okay. Like, I mean, it was a rough night. It was a rough night. And I shed lots of tears because I'm questioning all the things. And ultimately, my husband and I came up with a plan that we offered to our kids. And we said, okay, we understand the elf has really morphed into a big thing. And so what we are willing to do is get an elf. It's not the store-bought Elf on a Shelf. We actually got it from the dollar store. And the rule is we all get to hide it. We all get to have parts of it. Because there's a lot of other rules with the other elf, like you're not allowed to touch it and you're not, like, it's watching you and all these things. And we said, okay, this elf is not watching you. It's not reporting to anybody. It's not determining if you're getting Christmas gifts. It's a fun elf that we can have fun in the house. And so we made it our own. And it's been a really fun experience so far. And the kids have really enjoyed being a part of it. And we aren't feeling like we have this whole other weight in addition to our lives this season as well.
Well, that is great.
Yeah, it was wonderful. But it has become fun now in the way that we're doing it.
Well, I have one more question. And Jenna, you brought up living consciously. Okay. Living consciously. That is your namesake for your coaching business.
Yeah.
Living consciously. If there is one step that you would suggest as we go into this busy season, but you know what? I could have the Zoom any month of the year, and I could say that there's a stressor involved. If there's just one thing that you would suggest as an easy way to live a little more consciously, what would it be?
Without giving any thought to other than this moment, the thing that I would say is to ask questions. To ask yourself anytime you are looking to make a purchase, or you're looking to participate in an event, or you're looking to make a certain choice, ask yourself, why am I doing this? And it will be interesting to see, are you doing it because it's tradition? Are you doing it because you were raised learning this way? Are you doing it because it genuinely brings you joy? Why are you doing this? And that, when you start asking those questions, you really start kind of filling in these, gaps of your life and really understanding how you're showing up. Are you showing up in this life in the way that you truly want to be? Or is it because it's kind of what you've been told, this box you had to fit in? And this spans over every single part of your life, whether it's raising children, whether it's a religion that you may be a part of, whether it's certain holiday traditions you participate in, or things with your family. And when you start asking questions, it just helps you really identify more strongly with yourself and what you really believe in as a human, and really what you want to bring into this world.
Wow, I think that's powerful. And I think that it really applies to the journey that I am on as far as with Bright Line Eating, and maybe for many others too, just on a day-by-day basis. Today, for example, we had a lunch brought in. And this was one of these days I didn't pack a lunch, and that's always a no-go. Don't do it, Noreen, don't do it. But I didn't do it. And there were fortune cookies. And I really wanted a fortune cookie. And I did something that I did not think I would do. I went up and got a fortune cookie. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I actually asked myself the question as I picked it up, and I'm going back to my seat. And there happened to be a garbage can right there. I opened up the fortune cookie. I cracked it open. I took out the little fortune.
Mhm.
And I threw the cookie away. Because in that moment, just going back to the chair, I realized what I really wanted was a fortune. And it was a good one. It was like, you're going to have joy in your home. And I'm
Awesome.
glad I got it. But it was that split second question. Why did I do that? I have not, number one, I haven't had a cookie in over 3 years. There's a reason for that. I don't know what's on the other side of a cookie. But I wanted that fortune. And I realized it on the way. And so I did have the presence of mind to open it quickly, throw the rest out while everybody's still talking in the meeting. And I had my fortune. I got what I wanted. And I didn't have to put my eating plan in jeopardy to get what I wanted in that moment. So that is really great, Jenna, to just ask questions. I really think it applies to this journey so much.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. Thank you for your third time here, supporting me. And even though I know in the beginning you were like, oh boy, here we go.
Well, hey, you know what? I've been down the diet trail just as much in my lifetime as you probably had been at that age in your life.
Yeah.
And it's a full-time job being on that train.
It is.
I didn't want to have that job anymore.
No,
but yes, when I heard that plan, I thought it was absolutely insane and not sustainable at all. But I can be wrong.
Yeah.
I can be wrong. I can learn.
So
but had I not had that experience, I would not have felt the pushes and nudges to continue to break down barriers in my own life and to continue learning. And, Susan Pierce Thompson actually says something along the lines of, when you've been through something so hard, you have so much to give. And I feel very called to that at this point, just like you with sharing these Zoom calls. Because this journey is very universal to more people than we realize. I think sometimes it feels very isolating, but it's a very universal journey to many.
And just as your children are watching you, like I want to do my own Tuesday with, others really are. It's like Lori, she gave me the hope. She did it. Oh my gosh. I maybe can. I'm going to look further. And so you never know who might be hearing your story.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Anyway, I'm going to close again. Good night, everybody. Good night. Stay bright. Thanks, Jenna.
Good night. Thanks for having me.